Imagine you live in a very old city. The walls are high and strong. You feel safe. But one day, you look outside. There is a big army. It is the army of Aram. You see thousands of men. You see horses. You see swords shining in the hot sun. They do not attack. They just wait. They wait for you to get hungry. This is the city of Samaria. It is a very sad time. The days pass. The sun is very hot. The wind brings the smell of dust and dry earth. The food is gone. The markets are empty. There is no bread. There is no fruit. There is no water. The silence in the streets is heavy. You only hear the sound of babies crying. You hear the sound of empty stomachs. People walk like ghosts. They are very tired. They are very weak. The king of Aram wants the city to die from the inside. He knows hunger is a strong weapon. Hunger makes good people do very bad things. Think about your family. You love them. You want to protect them. But what do you do when you have nothing to give them? The people of Samaria start to eat strange things. They eat things they never wanted to eat before. A donkey's head costs a lot of money. Small seeds cost a lot of money. The city is full of pain. It is full of fear. Every night, the people look at the sky. They ask for help. But the sky is silent. The stars shine, but they do not bring food. The mornings are very bright, but they only bring another day of pain. The rich people and the poor people are the same now. Hunger does not care if you have gold. You cannot eat gold. The situation is impossible. The despair is growing inside the high walls. The people are losing their minds. The city of Samaria is dying, slowly and painfully. The enemy outside is quiet. The enemy inside is the terrible hunger. The king of Israel walks on the high wall of the city. His name is Jehoram. He looks at the big army outside. He looks at his dying people inside. The sun hits his face. He wears beautiful royal clothes on the outside. He looks like a strong king. But inside, he is broken. Under his expensive clothes, he wears rough cloth. It is the cloth of deep sadness. It hurts his skin. He wants to feel the pain of his city. The king walks slowly. His boots make a sound on the hard stone. He feels completely helpless. A king is supposed to protect his people. A king is supposed to feed his people. But he has nothing. His hands are empty. The granaries are empty. The storehouses are empty. As he walks, he hears a voice. It is a woman. She is crying. She is shouting. "Help me, my lord the king," she says. Her voice is full of tears. It is full of deep desperation. The king stops. He looks down at her. He feels very tired. He says to her, "If the Lord does not help you, how can I help you? I have no wheat. I have no wine. The threshing floor is empty. The winepress is empty." The king's words are bitter. He is angry at the situation. He is angry at God. He feels abandoned. But the woman does not stop crying. She is holding her stomach. Her eyes are wide and wild. The hunger has changed her completely. She does not look like a normal person anymore. The king sighs. He asks her, "What is your problem? What is wrong with you?" He expects to hear that she needs bread. He expects to hear that she needs water. He is not ready for her answer. Nobody in the world is ready for her answer. The air in the city becomes very cold. even in the hot sun. A terrible secret is about to come out. The woman looks at the king. Her face is covered in dust and tears. She points to another woman near her. Then, she tells the most terrible story in the Bible. She says, "This woman came to me. We were both starving. We had no food. We had no hope. She looked at me and made a dark pact." The king listens in complete shock. The woman continues. She said to me, "Give up your son. We will eat him today, and tomorrow we will eat my son." The words hang in the air. The king cannot believe his ears. Hunger has destroyed all human love. Hunger has destroyed the love of a mother. It is the deepest darkness of the human heart. The woman cries louder. She says, "So we cooked my son, and we ate him." The horror of the act is impossible to describe. The king feels sick. His heart stops beating for a second. The woman is shaking. She finishes her terrible story. The next day, I went to her. I said, "Give up your son. Now it is time to eat your son." But she lied to me. She took her son and hid him. The pact was broken. The tragedy is complete. The mother ate her own child, and now she is asking the king for justice. She wants the king to force the other woman to kill her child too. It is total madness. The king hears this and screams. He takes his royal clothes and tears them apart. He rips the beautiful fabric. He shows the rough cloth underneath. The people around him see his deep pain. They see his total despair. The city has reached the bottom. There is no more humanity left. There is only survival and madness. The walls of Samaria hold a nightmare. The enemy outside did not kill the child. The hunger inside did. The king knows he must do something, but he does not know what. He only feels a terrible, burning anger in his soul. The king's sadness turns into a hot, violent anger. He needs to blame someone. He cannot attack the great army outside. He cannot fight the hunger. So, he blames the man of God. He blames the prophet Elisha. The king shouts, "May God punish me if the head of Elisha stays on his shoulders today." The king sends an executioner to kill the prophet. He wants blood. He thinks Elisha is the reason for this terrible pain. He thinks God has abandoned them because of Elisha. Elisha is sitting quietly in his house. The elders of the city are sitting with him. Elisha knows the king's man is coming. He feels it in his spirit. He tells the elders, "Look, this murderer is sending a man to cut off my head. When he comes, shut the door. Hold the door fast against him." The executioner arrives. The king is right behind him. The king is furious. He says to Elisha, "This disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" The king has lost all his faith. He has lost all his hope. But Elisha is completely calm. He looks at the angry king. He speaks with a clear, strong voice. He says, "Listen to the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. About this time tomorrow, a seah of the finest flour will sell for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley will sell for a shekel. This will happen at the gate of Samaria." An officer of the king laughs. He makes a joke. He says, "Look, even if the Lord opens the windows of heaven, could this happen?" The officer does not believe. Nobody believes. It sounds like a crazy dream. How can a starving city have cheap food tomorrow? It is impossible. But Elisha looks at the officer. Elisha says, "You will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of it." The promise is spoken. The impossible is announced. Outside the city gate, there are 4 men. They have leprosy. They are very sick. They cannot go inside the city. They are starving. They talk to each other. They say, "Why stay here until we die? If we go into the city, we will die of hunger. If we stay here, we will die. Let us go to the camp of the Aram army. If they let us live, we live. If they kill us, we just die." It is a choice between death and death. They walk slowly in the dark night. They walk to the enemy camp. But when they arrive, they see an impossible thing. The camp is completely empty. There are no soldiers. There are tents, horses, and food, but no men. What happened? The Lord caused the Aram army to hear a terrifying sound. They heard the sound of a huge army, with many chariots and horses. The Aram army was so afraid, they ran away in the dark. They left everything behind. The 4 sick men eat and drink. They find silver and gold. Then they stop. They realize they must share this good news. They run back to the city gates in the middle of the night. They shout to the guards, "The enemy is gone. There is food for everyone." The king thinks it is a trap, but he sends men to check. It is true. The people run out of the city. They take all the food. Just as Elisha said, the food becomes very cheap in one day. The officer who did not believe is pushed by the hungry crowd at the gate. He falls down and dies. He saw the food, but he did not eat it. Samaria is saved. The long, dark night is over. Light and life return. What do you think about this incredible story? What is your biggest impossible situation today? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Please leave a comment, ask your questions, and subscribe to the channel for more historical journeys. The king of Israel walks upon the high wall of the city. His name is Joram. He looks at the vast army outside. He looks at his people dying within. The scorching sun beats down on his face. He wears magnificent royal robes on the outside, appearing to be a strong and unshakable king. But on the inside, he is completely broken. Beneath his expensive fabrics, he wears rough sackcloth. It is the fabric of deep sorrow, mourning, and despair. The cloth chafes his skin with every movement. He wants to feel in his own flesh the pain consuming his city. The king walks slowly. His boots echo heavily on the dusty stone. He feels completely powerless. A king is supposed to protect his people. A king is supposed to feed his subjects. But his hands are empty. The granaries are hollow. The warehouses do not hold a single grain. As he walks, he hears a voice. It is a woman. She is crying, screaming with deep despair. "Help me, my lord the king." She cries. Her voice is choked with tears, laden with abysmal anguish. The king stops. He looks down toward her, feeling an extreme exhaustion weighing on his shoulders. He answers her with bitterness. "If the Lord does not help you, how can I help you? I have no wheat from the threshing floor. I have no wine from the winepress." The king's words are harsh and cold. He is furious with the situation, angry with God himself. He feels abandoned by the heavens. But the woman does not stop crying. She clutches her own stomach. Her eyes are wide and wild. Extreme hunger has completely transformed her. She no longer looks like a normal person, but like a specter wandering the streets. The king sighs, exhausted. He asks her, "What is your problem? What is wrong with you?" He expects to hear that she needs a piece of bread, or that she is begging for a drop of water. He is not in the least prepared for her answer. No one in the world would be prepared. The air in the city suddenly turns icy, even under that blazing sun. A terrifying and unnameable secret is about to be revealed. The woman stares at the king. Her face is covered in a thick layer of gray dust and dried tears. With a trembling, bony finger, she points to another woman trying to hide in the shadows of the scorching wall. And then, with a voice hollow of any human emotion, she recounts the darkest and most terrifying story in the entire biblical record. "This woman came to me," she says. "We were both starving to death. We had no food. We had no hope. She looked me in the eyes and proposed a macabre pact." The king listens in absolute shock. The hot desert wind seems to stop suddenly. The woman continues. "She said to me, 'Give up your son. We will cook him and eat him today. And tomorrow we will eat my son.'" The words hang in the thick, diseased air of Samaria. The king recoils a step, unable to believe what he has just heard. Extreme hunger had destroyed the most fundamental and sacred instinct of humanity. Hunger had devoured a mother's unconditional love. It is the deepest darkness the human heart can reach. Ancient historians confirm that prolonged sieges drove entire populations to insanity, proving that absolute despair erases any trace of civilization. The woman cries even louder, tearing through the funereal silence of the besieged city. "So, we cooked my son, and we ate him." The atrocious horror of the act is impossible to describe. The king's stomach turns violently. His heart skips a beat. But the woman, trembling convulsively, does not ask for forgiveness. She asks for vengeance. "The next day, I went to her. I said, 'Give up your son. Now it is time to eat your son.' But she lied to me. She took her own son and hid him. The profane pact was broken. The tragedy was consummated. A mother devoured her own child and now begs the king for justice, demanding that the other mother sacrifice hers as well. It is total and unrestrained madness. Realizing the magnitude of the horror, the king lets out a guttural cry. He grabs his magnificent royal garments and tears them from top to bottom. The people around him see, astonished, the rough sackcloth upon his wounded skin. The city has hit rock bottom. The enemy is not just camped outside. The true monster has awakened within the walls. Imagine the crushing weight of absolute failure turning into a blinding, violent rage. When humans face unbearable, senseless tragedy, our fragile minds desperately seek a scapegoat to carry the blame. For King Jehoram, his city's descent into unimaginable darkness is the final straw. He doesn't blame the massive Aramean army encamped outside. He blames the prophet Elisha, the physical representation of a god who seems to have completely abandoned them to starve. The king roars with a blood-curdling, desperate oath. "May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if the head of Elisha remains on his shoulders today." He immediately dispatches a royal executioner, a soldier whose hands are calloused and stained from the brutal work of the sword. The heavy, rhythmic sound of the killer's leather sandals echoes ominously against the dusty, sun-baked stones as he marches through the groaning, dying streets of Samaria. Inside a modest, dimly lit stone house, Elisha sits quietly with the city elders. The stifling air is thick with the scent of dry clay and unspoken terror. Yet, Elisha possesses a supernatural, chilling calm, a stark psychological contrast to the king's manic despair. Prophetic intuition warns him of the approaching blade. "Look," Elisha tells the elders, his voice steady in the shadows, "This murderer is sending a man to cut off my head. Bar the door." Before the executioner can break the heavy wooden beams, King Jehoram himself arrives, panting, his royal garments torn to reveal the coarse, agonizing sackcloth underneath. The king spits out his bitter theological crisis. "This disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" It is the raw, agonizing cry of a broken leader completely abandoning his faith in real time. Then comes the absolute historical climax. Elisha looks directly at the raging monarch and delivers a revelation that sounds like sheer, delusional madness. "Hear the word of the Lord," Elisha commands, his voice cutting through the panic. "About this time tomorrow, a seah of the finest flour will sell for a single shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel at the gate of Samaria." An agonizing silence falls over the cramped room. It is a mathematical and physical impossibility. The king's right-hand officer scoffs with arrogant disdain, his voice dripping with bitter sarcasm. "Look, even if the Lord should open the floodgates of the heavens, could this happen?" Elisha's eyes lock onto the skeptical officer, pronouncing a dark, immovable fate. "You will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat a single crumb of it." The divine decree is spoken. The impossible is set in motion. Imagine the darkest, coldest hour of the night, just outside the massive, locked gates of Samaria. The wind howls, carrying the stench of disease and despair. Here, completely isolated from the starving city, sit 4 men afflicted with leprosy. They are outcasts, their bodies failing, their stomachs completely empty. They look at each other with hollow eyes and make a chillingly logical decision. "Why sit here until we die?" they whisper. "If we enter the city, we die of famine. If we stay here, we die. Let us surrender to the Aramean camp. If they spare us, we live. If they kill us, we just die." They drag their frail bodies through the thick darkness toward the enemy lines. But when they cross the perimeter, they find an eerie, absolute silence. No guards, no fires. Just empty tents flapping in the cold night wind. The biblical texts describe a breathtaking moment of divine psychological warfare. The Lord had caused the massive Aramean army to hear a terrifying, deafening sound, the thunderous roar of chariots, horses, and an approaching allied army. Gripped by a sudden, irrational panic, the entire enemy force fled on foot in the dead of night, abandoning absolutely everything. Gold, silver, weapons, and mountains of food were simply left behind in the dust. The 4 outcast lepers feast in the shadows. But soon, conscience strikes them. They rush back to the city walls, shouting the impossible news into the darkness. When the starving citizens of Samaria realize the enemy is truly gone and food is abundant, a tidal wave of humanity violently surges through the city gates. In the middle of that chaotic, uncontrollable stampede is the royal officer who mocked Elisha. Just as the prophet foretold, the desperate crowd tramples him to death in the dust. He sees the miraculous abundance with his own eyes, but his mouth tastes only the bitter earth. Samaria is saved. Sometimes, deliverance comes not from the strength of kings, but from the desperate footsteps of the broken. What is the impossible siege you are facing in your life right now? Leave your comment below, share your doubts, and please subscribe to the channel so we can continue uncovering the deepest secrets of history together.